All right, let's start this video with something we liked traveling China, which is the insight we gained after going around mysterious China. Because depending on which news you watch in Canada, China is not only mysterious, but also like evil China. And so in our experience, Chinese people were pretty extroverted and pretty outgoing and kind of warm and curious about us as we went around, especially when we put on local costumes and really blended in on Chinese New Year.
Yes.
With traditional costumes. But also the shopkeepers were consistently outgoing and extroverted and sort of hilarious on camera despite our obvious language barrier. And even the people we met in the streets, eating meals with them and sort of the friends we made were quite helpful in guiding us along our journey. And of course, some of the kids we met were really reminiscent of children in any country, where they're just sort of joyful and curious and playing along with all my childish antics. And so what we learned is people are more similar than they are different, kind of independent of which political system they're raised up in. And we're really glad to report that exactly 0 times a Chinese person looked at me as some sort of embodiment of the capitalist West and was like bad to me. They were really helpful to us consistently the entire trip. And so we have nothing but good things to say about the people we met along the way, which is something we really liked about traveling China.
Yes, another thing that I like about the people is that they are honest.
True.
They're friendly and honest people. It doesn't matter whether it's a taxi driver, because normally when we land in a new country, all these taxi drivers are offering rides and immediately my brain start to like ding ding scams. But not in China. The taxi drivers are very honest. They use the meter taxi and they're very affordable. So I find the people very honest. Even the street vendors, when we're buying street food or anything like that, they never overcharge us. Honest people, I like them.
Yeah, it's a good one. Now, I will say something I disliked about traveling China, and I know what you guys are going to do to me in the comments because we did mention this before, but the internet in China as a foreigner is something to get used to and overcome. Now, to be clear, our VPN did work, but they're very hit or miss. For example, on the very nice video when Ken and I were dressed up in traditional costumes, people all around us, I'm standing beside my friend Ken. On my cell phone, I have a VPN. On his cell phone, he has the same VPN. Ours is working. We're on Google uploading videos. His is not working.
Right.
Same VPN, standing shoulder to shoulder. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So best advice is get 2 or 3 VPNs to try and make this work. But I know what you guys are going to do to me in the comments because we mentioned this earlier. But Ivana and I have been to like 40 countries. And the way to relearn how to use the internet is something that stands out as new and potentially frustrating in China.
Right.
Sorry, but I'm just being honest.
A little bit frustrating.
Can be.
Yes. Another thing that is frustrating is the payment method. Because cash is not king in China. Nobody really use cash to pay for things. Like, we paid for our food at a food court, and this teenage boy laughed at us because we were paying with cash.
It felt like the first time he had seen cash.
Yes,
he was like giggling like, oh my gosh, money.
Yes. And the most frustrating thing is that they don't accept credit cards or debit cards. Most of the shops or businesses don't have that machine for credit cards.
Right.
The most common payment method is that you have to download the WeChat app, which is not really friendly with international credit cards. So we couldn't sign up for WeChat. And Alipay, which we signed up for, but it worked 50-50. Not always, it's not always working.
Yeah, our strategy was to start with Alipay, and you never knew if it was going to work or not.
Yes.
And then we just go back to cash afterwards.
Right.
It's something to sort of learn. Now, something I really liked about China, speaking of payment method, is the value of things is pretty good.
Right.
Now, growing up in Canada, typically if there was a made in China good, it was known as like a quarter of the price and like a tenth of the quality. It was usually typically cheap, but it was gonna fall apart in 2 days.
Right.
So not only the snow pants we bought and the big winter jackets, really affordable. Even my boots, and they lasted pretty well. The zippers are all good, the insulation is all good, and so the value, which for us means the price compared with the quality, was quite good. And not only that, but also the food that we purchased, like $5 for a homemade, really good plate of food. In Canada, it would be like $15 or $20.
Yeah.
So typically, when the price goes down for things, the quality also goes down. China's in a good spot where things are affordable and good quality, including the public transport is like $1, and it takes you perfectly clean, organized, really far train.
That's true.
For like $1. It was
the subway network was really impressive.
Yeah.
And I find the public transport there is always reliable, affordable, and always available.
Right.
Like, for example, the subway, which is very affordable, and you know, in a big city, it's always available everywhere. And also the taxi, they're easy to find. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you want to go somewhere, it's always outside your door. There's the taxi right there, so I like that as well.
Yeah, we really liked public transport.
Yes.
Now, I will say something that was a bit frustrating and we potentially disliked, and this happens not only in China but a lot of places we go. People always assume Ivana speaks Chinese.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And they look confused, like, why is this woman not speaking Chinese? Because Ivana and I are like, sorry, we don't understand. And people are looking like almost frustrated, like, why is she pretending she doesn't know Chinese? So to be clear, Ivana is
pretending.
Exactly.
I swear, I really don't know.
To be clear,
sorry.
Ivana is Indonesian with Chinese ancestry, but the Chinese people who went to Indonesia sort of fell away from their Chinese heritage, didn't go to Chinese school, and didn't maintain Chinese language.
Yes.
But it was a consistent, like on a daily basis, people would be looking at us confused, like, why is she not speaking Chinese? Why is she making this white guy try and communicate? Why doesn't she just speak Chinese? We're trying to tell them, no, we really don't know.
Yes, true.
To be clear, that happens also in Korea with Korean, or in Japan with Japanese. Happens a lot for Ivana. But in China, it was like a lot, because you look Chinese, really.
True. I look Chinese. Well, I have Chinese ancestry, but also Indonesian, so I'm kind of mixed. I'm peranakan, really. That's the term that we use in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Talking about Southeast Asia, the Chinese food is different there than in China. You know?
Yeah.
You're
gonna get killed for this one.
I know, people are gonna hate me.
In the comments, you're gonna be killed for this one.
People are gonna hate me for saying this, but I'm not a fan of the Chinese food in China. You know that Szechuan pepper oil?
Yeah.
Every time we go out for Chinese food in Shanghai, Chongqing, they have that flavor, the oil flavor. You know what I mean? The Szechuan oil flavor. So different, although they are different dishes, everything started to taste the same because of the oil. Now I don't mind the spiciness. It's just the fragrance of that oil that I don't like. It's very distinctive, so I'm not a fan of it.
It takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
It's not that spicy, but it's more tingling and unique.
Tingling is just
flavor.
the smell. The smell.
Would you say
even when you pass by a place like a street vendor that has the oil in their food, I can tell, oh, he used that oil, not gonna buy it. You know what I mean? It's just different. I know you say if I go to Guangzhou, Cantonese food is different, but not really, because we went to Hong Kong and the food is just... We went to a Michelin star restaurant in Hong Kong and the food was kind of bland. You know, it's either oil, Szechuan oil, or bland.
You're gonna get killed for this one. Would you say Canadian Chinese food is better than Chinese food?
I think so.
Oh,
I'm sorry, North American Chinese food and Southeast Asian Chinese food is better than the food in China.
Okay, I'm gonna follow.
I think it's because the Chinese people there master it and improve it, I guess. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just being honest.
Ivana's critique of the food with something we really liked, which was the tremendously positive response we got on YouTube. When we first got to China on our first day in Shanghai, we were nervous if we could not critique anything negative, if we're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
We were nervous that the comments section on our videos was going to be just people screaming at each other, because we've got like 1,000 videos on our channel, and none of them are that. We are overwhelmingly lighthearted and positive videos. The comments are all good things. We're not really like controversial.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to have like videos where everyone's just screaming at each other. To be clear, we did get some comments that were paid by the CCP, but we just kind of block and move on. But we had a really good reception on YouTube in the audience, which was really nice for us, because whether it was the museums we went to that were really positive. People really were glad we showed the history, or even just our videos in general. People really were okay with us being honest. And even this video was an example. We're now listing 7 things we didn't like about China.
True.
And we're confident that the comments will be understanding.
Yes.
We're just sort of being fair and honest, which I think is okay.
This is based on our personal experience, you guys. Not everyone has the same experience. You know?
Yeah.
So another thing that I like about China is that it's very unique. The country is unique. Like, for example, in Shanghai, as soon as we get there and see all these big, tall buildings, very futuristic, I was like, wow, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've never seen a city like that in the world. Like, people say Singapore is futuristic, but Shanghai is on another level.
Agree.
It's amazing. And also the Hongya Cave in Chongqing.
Amazing.
It's so unique. Where else can you see that in the world?
Agree.
You know? Harbin Ice Festival.
The top. I was going to say the top.
Harbin Ice Festival. Come on.
It's nothing like Harbin Ice Festival. Now, I will piggyback on Ivana's thing and say something we kind of disliked. Because the tourist attractions are so unique in China, and because we were there during Chinese New Year,
right,
which maybe is to be expected, the lineups and the crowds for the tourist attractions are crazy.
Yes.
Harbin Ice Festival, to be clear, was so incredible. I loved it. I will never forget that place. But the lineups were so long that it was just human bodies all the way into the horizon. You couldn't even see the end of the line. It was just like hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yes.
And even the museums we went to, Terracotta Museum.
Yeah.
The things there are so worth seeing. They're so unique and so good attractions. And Chinese population is so big that you really got to get up at 8 a.m.
True.
And be the first one there because the crowds are huge.
True. And another thing that I like about China is that they're very more diverse or more multicultural than I thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when people think about China, people only think about, oh, they're Chinese. But there are actually, I think, 56 different ethnicity in China and different dialects.
Yeah.
So it's very diverse. Even like when we visited the Hui people in the Muslim quarter in Xi'an, it's very interesting to see because it's different. It's still unique. You know, I mean, we visited a mosque and also temples. I mean, they're allowed to practice their religion, which something that we didn't hear in the West. Like the Western media didn't, you know, they're trying to maybe spin that story a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's more diverse. And also being from Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, actually my ancestors from Fujian where they speak Hokkien.
Right.
Not Mandarin, but Hokkien. So the dialect is different. In Hong Kong, they speak Cantonese. So it's very diverse.
Yeah, generally speaking, a country as big as China geographically has different regions that have different cultures, and it's quite nice to travel because within one country you can see different things that have different feel.
Yeah.
Quite nice to travel China and feel different vibes in different places while being in the same country. Yeah. Now, one of the frustrations and potential dislikes was typically Ivana and I are Airbnb people. Maybe you can see the kitchen behind us. We like to make food for ourselves because we're long-term travelers. Unfortunately, in China, you have to stay in government-approved hotels, which don't have a kitchen. Obviously, it's a hotel.
Yes.
So it's a small complaint, but it forces you to eat out every single meal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, have to go get it in the streets.
Exactly.
So that was something new for us.
Yes.
We miss cooking our own meals.
True, yes. And another thing is the visa.
It's not ideal just yet.
I wish it was longer. So we travel with a 144-hour visa-free transit. So we actually don't have a visa to travel in China, but it's more like a transit for 144 hours.
It's like an extended layover.
Yes, exactly. I wish it was longer.
We liked the place so much that we were like, man, we gotta, from the minute you get there, you're planning, we gotta go in 6 days. Oh my gosh, we gotta go in 5 days. 4 days from now.
Yes.
It just flies by. So really, it's the right move for us will be to get the long-term visa, which we will do in Canada.
We want to apply for what is called the multi-days or multi-entry 10-year visa, but we have to be in Canada for that because if you sign up in another country, you have to be a resident of that country.
So we're gonna return to Canada and get the 10-year visa.
Yeah.
This is a dislike that the visa situation is not great, but really it just means we want to stay longer.
Yes.
In the end, it's a positive thing. It's like we wish we could just be more free to go around and see more stuff because so many video opportunities, so many memory opportunities, and so many good vibes.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm going to end this video off with one more like that we didn't put on the list.
Oh, boy.
The MC hat is the gift that keeps on giving. MC for life. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Later.
Love you, channel.